2022 was a great year for music, and I think 2023 might even be a little bit better. But before we jump in to 2023, let's look back at 2022. And my top 10 list is actually a top 11 list. You will notice, however, that NoFX's new record, Double Album, did not make the cut. So this is just gonna be a fun little quick end of the year list video where I count down these records that I thought were highly enjoyable. Now, there are a couple records on this year's list that are all-timers. These records are gonna stay with me until I perish. Hey ladies, Dan Frampton here, and how's about we start with number 11 with some melodic hardcore with this A Wilhelm Scream record. Now when you're thinking about melodic hardcore, you can't get really much more tight than a Wilhelm Scream. The chops, licks, and grooves on this thing are top notch, and I gotta love the vocals as well. I know a couple people out there that consider a Wilhelm Scream to be their favorite melodic hardcore band, but they're not really mine. As you'll notice with this next inclusion, coming in at number 10, we're gonna get the actual list started here with No Trigger and their record, Dr. Album. I will say there's a couple songs on this record that I wish were cut out. Now basically these tracks were conceived on a whole bunch of acid, and I do not have a problem with that. I think that's a great way to conceive songs for a record. And I think the biggest oh my god guys moment on this thing is when they start listing off the active ingredients, the active chemicals in the drugs that get you high. When they're like THC, psilocybin. I'm not really such a fan of that. Even those moments that I do find a little bit lame can be thrown into this and appreciated through context. The EP that they put out to promote this thing, Acid Lord, is something that I do prefer maybe a little bit more. It's a little bit tighter, it's a little bit quicker, and you still get that same sort of vibe. Plus, the album art on the EP is so much cooler than this album art. I don't even know what this album art is supposed to be. Maybe I'm not really getting the reference. Is it supposed to just look super 90s? I don't know. All right, coming in at number 9, we got Terror, Pain into Power. This is just a really well-written and performed hardcore record. Now, some criticisms about this thing might be they overutilize the tropes that make hardcore, but I think that's actually where this thing triumphs. I love that they lean on all those tropes that make hardcore and just do it times 100. This thing is raw, this thing is brutal, this thing is guttural, this thing gets up in your face and makes you want to move around. If you're someone that goes to the gym, if you're somebody that likes to clank around heavy things, maybe this is the kind of record that you listen to when partaking in such an activity. And coming in at number 8, we're gonna keep it here in the hardcore world, and it's gonna be this Mind Force record, New Lords. The riffs on this thing, very, very good. Now, in comparison to Terror, where Terror is just a straight up hardcore band, Mind Force is kind of more of a crossover thrash type act. New York hardcore, we're here for some kickboxing. You know, it's that kind of vibe. You gotta love it. Coming in at number 7 is some straight edge perfection. This is the best straight edge project this year, and it's Inclination, Unaltered, Perspective. This thing kind of leaked to the internet a little bit early, but I was a good boy. When I saw those leaks, I was like, no, I'm gonna wait until this thing's supposed to come out, because the leaks came out in like August, but this project didn't come out until October. And I'm glad that I waited, because when I heard this thing, I was like, this thing is freaking awesome! And I don't know if I would have had that reaction if it was just a leak. But you got Isaac Hale on this thing from Knocked Loose, and he had it in his heart and his mind that he wanted to produce a perfect straight edge hardcore record, and he almost got there. This thing is brilliant. Oh, what's this? Is this more melodic hardcore? I think it is. This is Praise, All in a Dream. This record is so strong from front to back. These songs are so well written. These lyrics are so positive and uplifting. The vocal style is really nice as well. I love the way this dude's voice just sounds. The musicianship is top of the class as well. All in a dream, it came to me. I just love this thing. It's got the hooks, it's got the bars, it's got the licks and grooves and fills. This thing is a great listen. If more of the aggressive side of hardcore is not what you're into, this is the record for you. 100%. All right, let's jump over a couple seas and bodies of land to Japan for Odoboko Beaver, and Super Champion is the record that they put out. This thing is wild. This thing is erratic. This thing is crazy as fuck from beginning to end. You never know what these ladies are gonna do. The way that their like vocals work together off of one another, their charisma and energy just bounce off each other in almost this like disruptive way. But they take all that chaos, all that insanity, and just deliver it so tightly, so perfectly, and in such a fun, listenable way. It's fast, it's aggressive, it's punk rock through and through. I love this album. Now, every record here on out is going to be an all-timer. Every record on here could have been #1 had it not been for the other records on this list. First, we got to talk about this No Pressure record. No Pressure is a bit of a pop-punk group, okay? Parker Cannon is the vocalist. He's also the vocalist in a much bigger band called The Story So Far. But this band, this record, this project, oh my God. It calls back to that like 90s Blink-182 kind of just skate punk, pop punk type vibe, and it nails it through and through. It's not only just like a nostalgia trip and trying to capture like this magic in a bottle. This is it. This is legitimate. This has the fucking songs. This has the guitar work. This has the vocal tone. This has the lyrics and the style. This thing is everything. If you happen to be a Blink-182 fan of any era, when they first started, when they blew up into the 2000s, when they super sold out, when they got no Tom DeLonge, if you like Blink-182 in any shape or form, you need to do me a favor. You need to pinky swear to me right now that you're gonna go check out this record, okay? You're gonna fall in love with it instantly, I promise you. And it was so cool. There was like this guy, his name is Mark Hoppus. He was like the bass player in Blink-182. Anyway, he was on this like radio station or whatever, and he was interviewed, and he brought up this record, and he was like, yo, I heard this record that's actually pretty sick. So it's even endorsed by the members of Blink-182. So please, go out, check out No Pressure by No Pressure. Next album, Regulate by Regulate. Oh my God. Talk about hardcore banger after hardcore banger, song after song after song. Holy shit. This thing is purposeful. This thing is driven. This thing has everything that you want in a hardcore record. It has style. It has grit. It's raw. And it even throws in this kind of like poppy number to kind of confuse you a little bit. And at first I didn't really like that song. But after listen upon listen upon listen, I realized that it's one of the best fucking songs that I've ever heard. The range on the vocals goes from everywhere from death metal to regular hardcore. It's just so tough, so hard, and so fun to listen to. Okay, now, these next two records are some of the best records I've ever heard in my whole fucking life. Anxious, Little Green House, this thing is perfection from beginning to end. This is emo, power pop, brilliance, okay? There's a couple hardcore songs on here that are some of the best hardcore songs I've ever heard. This is one of the best bands that I've ever had the privilege to listen to. They're so tight. The songs are so well written. The hooks are so catchy. It's sparkly and sugary in spots, and also very aggressive and gritty in spots. And it's just all held together so perfectly, and none of it seems out of place. The aesthetic, the sonics, everything about Anxious is amazing. One of my favorite new bands that I've discovered over the last couple years. I first heard them when they were on this compilation called American Hardcore or whatever, and I was like, oh man, it's a pretty good little band. And when they put out this record, you know, I was expecting it to be more hardcore from beginning to end, but no, it's just like peppered with hardcore. This thing is emo brilliance. But the best record this year, and maybe the best record of the decade, and I don't know, the best record that I might have ever heard in my whole entire life. I cannot believe this thing. Even to this day, when I re-listen to it, my mind just keeps getting blown in ways I didn't know could be blown, you know? Soulglow, Diaspora Problems. To me, it's a perfect 10. It's an 11 even. I absolutely adore this record. It has a very strong message, and they make sure to deliver it to you in the most aggressive way possible. And not only the most aggressive way, the most technical, the most like awe-inspiring and impressive ways possible. The screaming, the rapping, the flow, the heaviness, the beats, it's just way too much for my brain to handle all at once. But in a way where I'm just like, give me more, I need more, gimme. And they happen to be like the coolest dudes in the fucking world too. And put on such a hell of a live show. Soulglow, god damn, what a band. Okay, so that's my top 10 with a bonus one. What's yours? Comment down below. If you liked this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell if you're cool as hell, and until my next upload, you can watch another upload.